Hey guys, Delora Davils here. Welcome to day 14 of Ethany's 31 Days of Tarot. And today I'm not actually going to talk about tarot tattoos or artwork I have that I like. I'm actually going to talk about just artists that I just want to talk about and love on and show other people. This is my second filming. The first filming took me 20 minutes, and I'm not trying to do a 20-minute video today or in any time for the 31 Days of Tarot. It's not that serious. I want to shout out to James at Occult. His decks are absolutely beautiful and amazing, and I'm gonna take out because we're off to a rocky start, but we will persevere. This is a Thoth-based tarot. I'm only going to show a few cards here. And they're all pips. Very beautifully done. It's basically the Thoth tarot if the Thoth tarot took place in what he calls a chthonic underworld, a macabre chthonic underworld. I will say it is a very beautiful underworld-esque place, and I definitely get that feeling whenever I open this deck up. This one is cyberpunk. It's very, very beautiful. I absolutely love it. I want to show his artwork off because I feel like not enough people have his decks yet. And until I feel like enough people have his decks, until I see his decks plastered all over Instagram, I will take any and every opportunity to blast his artwork because I love it. This is a cyberpunk Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Now, the previous one was a Thoth deck. So he is, he's also really great to follow on Instagram. So you need to follow Occult on Instagram. He is a meme lord. I have never met such a funny tarot deck artist creator. He's very funny. He's absolute meme lord on his Instagram, and it's at Occult. And then next, of course, I cannot talk about favorite artists at all without talking about Patrick Valenza. I have both of his tarot decks. I have the Borderless Deviant Moon, and I have the Trionfi della Luna because he is just... I love the creepy artwork. I have several of his oracles as well. The goal is to get all of his work, obviously. That's the goal. Anyway... whenever I have an artist that I love, I want to buy all their stuff. And I have all of Kim Krans's work, which is the Wild Unknown. So I have the Wild Unknown Tarot, Wild Unknown Animal Spirits, and the Wild Unknown Archetypes, which I was definitely not disappointed with. I think she did a brilliant job on all of them. And even the creepy cat card, I think it was called the Clown. Creepy, indeed. Very startling, but I feel like that was such an important card for me to see because a lot of times whenever I start to feel scared or out of control in a situation or tense in any way that something dangerous is going to happen, I fawn by being funny. So we have those responses, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I fawn sometimes by being funny. So I try to make the would-be attacker or the assailant or whatever opponent I have, whatever is the source of my adrenaline rush, I try to make them laugh as a way of fawning and making them, oh, they're not going to hurt me if I make them laugh. You know, it's the whole Bobby Hill strategy. I don't know if you guys watch King of the Hill, but it's the Bobby Hill strategy. Anyway, so for me, just looking at that, it brought so much insight into my life. I was like, this deck is already worth it. And I'm just flipping through it. So there's that. Another artist that I kind of want to plug is Paulina Cassidy. Now, I do see a lot of her work out and about. I love that I see a lot of her work because she I love her art style. I love it. I have the Paulina Tarot. I have trimmed it. I haven't edged it in anything yet. I don't know what color the edgings on this deck want to be. But yeah, I absolutely love it trimmed. I'm not super crazy about trimming decks. I'm not I'm not a borderless tarot Nazi. I don't need all of my decks to be borderless. But for some, I had worked with this deck for a very long time before I decided to trim it. And I was like, damn, I love this. It's like, it's a revival. It brought this deck back to life for me. And, you know, the smaller the better for me as it is for tarot. It's very whimsical without being childish, and I think that sums up her art style. It's oversimplistic, of course, because we're talking about someone's entire art style here, yet it is very accurate. I like the Paulina Tarot best because she drew this when she was living in New Orleans, and without even realizing it, the masks and the kind of, you know, vibe of it, I felt that Gulf Coast energy from this deck and bought it on a whim. This was one of the first tarot decks that I bought. This helped me understand the Rider-Waite-Smith system in a very new and interesting way. Whereas the Shadowscape brought more light into the Rider-Waite, this brought more balance for me. So I wanted that whimsical quality, that fantasy style, where the Shadowscape failed me by being too light and too positive. This brought everything back into perspective, and really, really nice balanced deck. And for me, a balanced deck, as well as having a very artful deck, is everything. You can have the most beautiful deck, but if it is not balanced, I cannot have it. And I learned that from the Shadowscape. I might even gift my Shadowscape deck to someone if they're interested. I have edged it in purple and silver. So it's metallic purple and metallic silver. So I don't know if anyone would want it, a pre-edged deck, but I might give that away to someone. The next one I want to talk about, we're going to talk about Lorwall's, because this is the only tarot deck that I think she has produced, under this name at least. I think at all, because I think I would recognize her art style. I'm going to show this card far away because there's a shlong and a badge. This is my favorite Fool card in the world. She is wearing a butterfly mask and holding a rose, and he is wearing a dog mask. And he's following her, and, you know, they're on their way off the cliff, you know, and there's something about that red sun in the background, and like just the rolling hills and everything that, I want to get a print of this done. I wish I could find Lorwall somewhere. She's a very hard woman to find. This was published in 1999. So I am trying to find someone from 20 years ago who made this, and I don't even know if she's alive, but I love her deck so much, and I wish that, like, she could know how much I loved her deck. Yeah, because it's amazing. I love what it did with tarot. It turned erotic tarot into a serious divination tool, whereas I feel like, you know, with the Casanova and the Tarot of Sexual Magic, and even the Manara was very not well put together. I got a mini of it just to look at it, but even the astrological correspondences are wrong on the majors. They switched the Lust card and the Justice card, but they didn't switch the astrological correspondences. And it's like, details like that tell me that the creator, I think Manara compiled it himself, didn't know much about tarot, was just jumping on a bandwagon. So that kind of erotic deck, that's what I think of whenever I think of an erotic deck. I think of a not serious deck. And then, you know, you have her here, and what she does is very, very esoteric. Oh gosh, I don't mean to, there's so much nudity, but at the same time, so necessary. As someone, I'm not going to go into any details, but I was sexualized very young. It is nice to see something so sacred to me become so sexualized. And I feel like if you were not sexualized young, you don't know what I mean by that. I love it. I love it. Last But certainly not least, I love the decks that give you... No, this is not last. I'm just running out of time. This is a Maya tarot. I love looking at the tarot through a different cultural lens. So this is a Thoth-based Native American tarot. So I got this one simply because it was Thoth-based, but there are better Native American, Northern Native American tarots. This is one of my favorite Mesoamerican tarots that have come out. There is an Aztec tarot that should be coming out from Mi Corazon Meca, and she is at Mia Corazon Meca at Instagram, and her Etsy shop is Mi Corazon. No, it's not me. It's just Corazon Meca, and that's spelled in Spanish. So it's Corazon and then Meca Spanish, right? So I hope you guys can spell in Spanish because I'm not spelling it. But this is a Maya one. This isn't by her. This was published in 1976. It's giving me trouble, so I'm actually not going to show it to you. I'm sure you'll see it at some point. We have the True Black Tarot. Look at it. Gorgeous. Need I say more as far as art goes. And the Mary L. It's so different and so lovely and so strange. And I kept going back and forth on this deck, and I felt like I wasn't ready for it, and that I would get it when I was ready, and and then the second edition came out, and I heard about this. I'm really late to the party on a lot of stuff, so I heard about a second edition coming out, and I heard that some cards were different, and I was like, which ones? Which ones? So I went ahead and bought the last first edition that my witchy shop had. It is the demo edition, so some of the cards have been touched by other people, and some of the people were not very nice to the cards. But it's very, very minor. It's very, very minor kind of things. Like I can see that someone used their nail to pick this one up probably. So there's a little bit of white in between the black border and the gold edging. And that's it. That's all the damage that's on them. It's very minor. I'm just nitpicky as fuck. So yeah, those are the art styles that I am just like, you do those things and I'm all for your deck. These are the artists that I am just in love with. And until tomorrow, happy dabbling and bye-bye.